This is a story of Vonda Dowling, an unheralded black female gangster from Overtown, Miami. In the era of segregation and hardship, she rose to power and took over control of the streets. But as they always say, all empires come crumbling down. She didn't bow to pressure from rivals and authorities alike when they threatened her throne. But in the end, justice triumphed, and they jailed her for 20 years, the maximum punishment for her crimes. This is a story of a boss bitch who dared to challenge the societal norms of her times. Decades of neglect had left thousands of girls without hope for a better future. For Avonda, that was about to change. Miami became the entry port into America for bundles of cocaine, a product which provided an opportunity to make money, and the Noriegas and Pablo Escobars of the world were profiting in this market of users and abusers. But this powder came at a great cost, one which Avonda was all too familiar with. Since graduating from Carroll City High School, they had enticed Avonda into a dark and treacherous criminal world. Under the tutelage of a few Miami gangsters, she learned the ropes of trafficking bundles and even earned respect among the notorious hitmen and drug dealers of Overtown. She found her criminal apprenticeship invaluable after her boss was arrested and charged with various offenses. With him locked away, Avonda's ruthless reign began. She used her father's longshoreman union connection to get an advantage at the port of Miami and soon became a powerful mover and shaker in the underworld. Avonda's family had a deep connection to the bustling waterfront of Jacksonville. Both her husband and 3 sons sought opportunity and stability at the port. But Vonda Jackson didn't view it as simply a job. Her youngest son would become an NFL star with the Philadelphia Eagles. However, before his success, Avonda's husband became entangled in a criminal underworld that dragged her towards a fate she could not escape from. Her connections allowed her to build a drug empire running across states in the southeastern United States. She instilled fear in all, including those trying to take over her territory, as she became one of the most powerful gang lords in the late 1980s. Avonda had money, power, and control. Robert was Avonda's go-to problem solver. Marlo had crossed her and had to be dealt with, so Robert stepped in. He took care of business and didn't leave a trace. Now, as the 80s descended upon Miami, an epidemic plagued the streets. Delroy Uzi Edwards led this new wave of Jamaican gangs dabbling in this unlawful activity. Wanda rose from humble beginnings to becoming the plug for what would become known as candy on the corner. She learned how to cook it up, and before she knew it, they lined her pockets with money. Apartment complexes she owned were now dedicated to turning powder into rocks. The streets of Miami were abuzz with the hustler's spirit. After Avonda arrived on the scene, other street gangs flocked to follow her example and earn their own piece of the pie. The competitors fought tooth and nail to win. Avonda, however, remained undefeated. With law enforcement in her pocket and charitable donations to those in need, she had more than proved herself to the people of Overtown. While fear and chaos spread across the city, they spoke well of her generosity during holidays like Easter, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Little did they know the devastation their actions would cause. Avonda's gang of soldiers had sparked a horrific war, terrorizing the people of Miami with no mercy. The crossfire caused the loss of innocent lives and injuries to countless others. Children as young as 18 months, teenagers, adults, and elderly all witnessed the devastating effects of this senseless violence. The gangs had access to military-grade weapons such as grenades, making them almost impossible for local law enforcement to contain. President Clinton enacted a bill in 1994 prohibiting such weapons, yet it proved futile as it was already too late. So, in 1997, they formed a task force between federal and local law enforcement to ensure the safety of the people in Miami. The feds re-examined every old case involving firearms in order to bring justice to those responsible. The federal courts with mandatory minimums took up the cases dropped by the state courts. Crimebusters pursued Avonda and her hitmen and hustlers of the Booby Boys gang. One by one, They caught the members of her syndicate up, including Kenneth "Booby" Williams himself. The decisive action of the busters resulted in securing the once fearsome felons with hefty 10-year sentences, leading to an 80% decrease in violent crimes like drive-bys. Avonda's old crew retreated against her and provided information on the corpses left in the aftermath of her all-out war with the Booby Boys before she was rounded up and brought to trial in 1998. Her lieutenants testified she had ordered these hits, a damning indictment. They claimed Avonda paid them to execute her wrath. A mountain of evidence piled up against Vonda, with over 50 witnesses ready to testify against him. The prosecutors wanted charges that would have made Avonda eligible for the death penalty. Yet, in a shocking twist of fate, Judge Seitz, the daughter of a retired 3-star general, imposed the maximum sentence, sending 40-year-old Vonda Dowling to prison for 20 years. Her story was a solemn reminder of the dangers of gang life.
Vonda's the only female in the crew that a lot of people thought they were going to walk over Vonda because she was a female, which didn't happen. Vonda went to war just as well as them dudes that went, you know. I mean, Vonda was a true gangster. You know, don't let the fact that she was a female fool you go.
I knew Vonda from over town, and to me, Vonda found her a space that she could do her thing. She had her little girls. Vonda was, Vonda to me was just like a person, found them a spot that they can exist in and do their thing. You know, how big she got or what she became, I really didn't know because I ended up in the federal prison system, so hey, it is what it is. Yeah.
I remember Vonda when she was a little girl. In fact, she grew up in the neighborhood that I grew up in. I remember she was running around with 2 of my daughters. I had 2 daughters about the same age that she was, and I used to watch them play in the yard, and she was always somewhat of a little leader.
Outgoing, you know what I'm saying, fun-loving, easy to get along with. She get along with anybody. And just as easy as she is to get along with, she'll set you straight in a minute.
I don't know if you saw this movie, what it was, New Jack City, and they had the chick with the gun that was the Rockabye, and then Vonda had chicks like that with her, just like that. But you know, in the movie, I mean, it was just make believe in the movie, but she had real live. She had hooked to die gangster women with her that would do that.
The cheerleaders need a uniform. They could go to Vonda. Vonda give them a couple of $100. Buy the cheerleaders uniforms when they ain't had. The kids needed shoes to go to school. You could go to Vonda and get that from them. Vonda was a real good woman.
She'll rent a van and take the kids to Disney World. Order pizza. She'll have a DJ, especially if they had something like a graduation.
Wow, what she used to do, like on an Easter. She used to get a lot of the girls to dress up like bunnies, and she'd dress up like an Easter bunny too, and they had the eggs and the costumes, yeah, for the kids. They even had things for the grown-ups too. It just, everybody just participated in it. But she was the one did all the, you know, the buying and the giving, you know. The kids were, oh man, they couldn't wait for Easter to come or either Christmas to come, because they know Vonda was gonna do something.
Vonda just was put in a bad situation. She's a real good friend of mine. You know what I'm saying? She always threw good parties, never was a troublemaker. They just put her name in a lot of circumstances.
From what I hear, it was rah-rah that kind of got Vonda screwed up, because he lied saying that she paid him to go kill this girl. He killed some girl. He killed that girl because the girl took some stuff out of his car, stole some stuff out of his car. And then when he found out Vonda and the girl had some kind of beef or something, then he went down there. But I think he deserved everything he got.
McBride was, to me, man, he was a good dude. You know, they killed him over there. This dude named Rah-Rah. They say Rah-Rah killed him at the behest of somebody else.
That ain't the first time. I remember that time he was laying on the roof He's supposed to shot McBride or somebody in that hole. He was up there. I remember he was up there. And then the dude, Papa Star, he killed Papa Star. Papa Star stayed in the building behind that. He was on the roof that time when he shot that boy, Papa Star.
We said, oh God, they done got Vonda. And the way they portrayed her in the newspaper, it was like they were talking about another person. You know, I'm thinking of Vonda and what she was doing for the community and the kids, not all that, like killing and the guns and all that and contracts. Nah, that wasn't Vonda. No, there had to be another Vonda. That wasn't a Vonda Jackson. No.
She got 20 years, but she got 20 years for 2 grams of cocaine. They convicted her for 2 grams of cocaine. They didn't convict her for none of the murders. They didn't convict her for none of the gang-related stuff. They convicted her for 2 grams of cocaine.
And they lied on that girl. That girl ain't with no killer. She ain't never killed nobody.